ever notice how kids say the creepiest things even when they're being completely serious? This story comes to me from a viewer. She used to work at a children's hospital, and she said that this one little boy that was admitted so often, everyone knew him on the unit. We're just going to call him Mumbles. Now, Mumbles was fighting cancer, and every time he came to the hospital, his twin brother came too. We're going to call him Whispers. Now, at first, nobody thought anything about it because the boys were inseparable. If Mumbles was in the bed, Whispers was right there next to him. If he was watching TV, so was Whispers. But there was one thing that made the staff uncomfortable. Whisper never talked to any of the adults. He only whispered in his brother's ear, and Mumbles would repeat whatever Whisper said, word for word. The nurses kind of joked about it at first until one night the viewer goes in to do her assessment. She's checking the vitals, listening to lung sounds, normal stuff. And as she leans over the bed, Whisper says something into Mumbles' ears. And then Mumbles looked directly at her and says, "Your daddy misses you." She said she froze right in that moment because her father had passed away 3 months earlier, but she hadn't really talked to anybody about that on the unit. But what he told the other nurse was really personal. If you like my stories and you think they creepy, comment, baby, let me know. The nurse goes in to check on the boys, and Whisper leaned over and Mumbles looked at the nurse and he says, "Whisper says your baby isn't sick anymore." The nurse burst into tears. Her son had just finished treatment for leukemia for a second time. That was something that he should have not known at all. But every time whispered something into Mumble's ear, it was always something personal, impossible, something no one would have told children on that unit to begin with. But one night, Mumbles took a turn for the worse, and the room was filled with families. The doctors were coming in and out, and everyone knew that Mumbles was running out of time. And the viewer said she walked into the room at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Mumbles was wide awake, staring at the corner, and Whisper was sitting right beside him. And for once, neither one of them were talking. The room felt completely heavy, and then Whisper leaned over one last time and said something in his brother's ear. Mumbles smiled and then looked at the nurse. And shout out to Daniela S. for fueling this story time, and she bought me a coffee. Thanks, boo. And then he said, "Whisper said I don't have to be scared." The nurse looked over at the twin, and for the first time in 6 months, Whisper looked directly at her, and then he said, "Mumbles said he can't wait anymore." A few moments later, Mumbles passed away peacefully. Now, the viewer was talking to the boy's mother, trying to offer condolences. And then the mother gave her this really confused face when she started whispering how devout the brother was during the treatment this whole time. The mother's face went pale and she was like, "What are you talking about?" The nurse was like, "His twin brother, Whispers." The woman began crying and then she whispered, "Mumbles did have a twin, but he passed away from SIDS. So you tell me, who do you think was sitting beside that hospital bed all of those months?" Let me know what you think down in the comments. And as always, have your best spooky day. Bye.